Welcome back, everyone, to Those Were the Days, where we pull up to the restaurant of nostalgia, sit at the table, and order up a heaping course of TV shows that are aged to perfection, or occasionally just aged and need to be taken off the menu. We're in the middle of talking about cooking shows, so I hope you've eaten recently, or you're just going to hungry all over yourself. Tonight's pick, my pick. We're talking about Yan Can Cook. But before we start talking the walk, I got to introduce my co host for the show. First, we got Steven.
Oh yeah, I don't have a whole lot of notes for this intro other than I need to buy a walk. Maybe two. Maybe I can walk and roll. Maybe I can take a walk, around the block. We'll see. All I know is I'm ready to chat about this. Let's roll.
All right. And then we also have Travis.
So I have a wok, and it does rock. However, I don't have one of those knives, and I really, really want one, but I'm afraid that I'll end up with fewer than 10 fingers.
Yeah. Talk about knife skills. Now, for those of you watching us live, twitch.tv, Two Dorks TV, you'll notice Amy's not with us tonight. She's currently on a special assignment that we like to call taking a breather. But she'll be back. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, we won't let her go that easy.
No.
No.
Okay. So we're talking about Yan Can Cook. So let's start with the host, Martin Yan. Let me give you a little deets about this dude. So he was born December 22nd, 1948 in China. Now, if you wondered if anybody wondered if he was going to grow up to be a cook, that was going to be an easy call because he was born to a restaurateur father and a grocer of a mother. So food is in his blood. And apparently he began cooking at the age of 12, which doesn't surprise me. Good Lord. When he was 13, they moved to Hong Kong. And they stayed there. He went to college in Hong Kong while also working at his uncle's Chinese restaurant. So father is a restaurateur, mom's a grocer, uncle owns a restaurant. And he's going to school for cooking stuff as well. He even received a diploma from the Overseas Institute of Cookery of Hong Kong, and then later left to Canada for more study. And then 10 years after he got to North America, he received a Master of Science degree in Food Science from the University of California, Davis in 1975. So, Buddy wanted to know all he could about cooking.
I didn't even know that was a thing you could get, a food science degree. Today I learned.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he does a lot of teaching for those kind of courses all over the place. And he began teaching Chinese cooking in college, in a college extension program, and began appearing on a Canadian talk show in Calgary in 78. And he eventually moved to San Francisco, California, where started his cooking show, Yan Can Cook, for the local PBS affiliate, KQED, in 1982. And that show does not have an end date. It is still going. He has been doing that thing ever since. According to Wikipedia, he's hosted over 3,500 episodes of the show, but I think that's probably a small number compared to all he's done. Like you can still go to the PBS website and look at stuff he's doing right now.
How do you even come
It's
up
just
with that many dishes to cook? I mean, I know there's infinite possibilities, but somewhere there's only so many ingredients for things that go together well. Or maybe I'm
right.
wrong. I'm not a cook. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. It started out as a cooking show, and it is evolved just like anybody's career to be one. He's basically doing the same thing a lot of chefs has done, where he's traveling the world,
Mm.
sampling stuff while teaching as well. So it's funny. I feel like he is the less flashy version of oh, what's his face?
Like an Anthony
Um,
Bourdain.
yes,
Mhm.
exactly. He's like the less flashy version of Anthony Bourdain, who's kind of under the radar. Like he's just stuck with PBS. I think he's stuck with teaching as much as he can. He does a lot of traveling to different universities and stuff that have that kind of food prep um, kind of degree. It usually falls under um, hotels and stuff like that. Um, just any kind of forward facing
Kind of hospitality degrees a lot of the
hospitality.
times.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So, I mean, it's hard to pin him down to any one place, it seems like he's got a home base, he's got where he grew up, where he's from, but and he's very much um someone who is very much a lover of his home country of China and likes sharing that anywhere and everywhere he can. So a lot of his recent stuff has been going back to China, going back to hometowns, showing people different foods and stuff and all that kind of thing. So it's again, he started cooking at 12. He has not stopped. So this guy loves it.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
haven't stopped, but my main tool is the microwave. So, I was microwaving a hot dog at 12 because my mom's like, it's about time you did this yourself.
mhm.
But, I don't have a lot to show for it. It seems like Yan really does and did
Yep.
and has had a lot to show for it for quite some time.
So Steven, I'm guessing this is your first introduction to Martin Yan.
It was. Um, it was. Man, I didn't know if I'd like cooking show month. I gotta be honest. It's not my wheelhouse. It's not. But dang it, if I didn't believe I could cook after watching Yan, I was like, hey, look at him. That's not that complex. He's doing it. I could probably do
Mhm.
that. It's great, Adi. Thank you for this pick.
Yep. And Travis, I believe you were very familiar.
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember Yan Can Cook being on PBS here, but I want to say that at some point along the line, like the Learning Channel picked it up and would
Mhm.
broadcast them. So, but definitely remember watching Martin Yan, and it was another one of those shows that he has such a magnetic presence and he makes things. He's very good at presentation, so you can see where he's got the background and he knows what he's doing, but there's nothing dull about it whatsoever, and he really tries to make it engaging, and that's the teacher in him. And so I was the
Absolutely.
same way as a kid. I would get done watching that, like I could make all of that right now. I'm like 10, 11, 12 years old, like I got it. Get out of the way. I can make this, because he makes it look so easy. At the end of the day, it really is. He does. The presentation of everything is what makes it. And so I adored Yan Ken Cook growing up. And back then it was a lot of the flashy knife work and the silliness. And then as I got older, I realized, oh, everything he's doing makes a whole lot of sense. And like, then I started to appreciate like all of it so much more.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm in a similar boat as Steven. When we did cooking month, I was like, "Oh, okay, this will be interesting." Because like most of the cooking stuff I watch is more recent stuff that's on YouTube and junk, not
Mhm.
something that was regularly on television back in the 80s and 90s. Too much. Um, I started looking around at some of the Food Network stuff, but all of that stuff is on Food Network or weirdly, like not easy for somebody to find and watch an entire show. Like I think the
Right.
the first one I landed on was Alton Brown, but his stuff is all chopped up and everywhere. And he's got good little nuggets here and there, but not a full show. But and looking through stuff, and then I was like, oh, I remember Yan Can Cook. It must have been because I have a memory of that, of just him doing his thing. I don't think I watched it growing up, but I definitely remember it being a PBS kid, and seeing the commercials. Because as soon as that caught my eye and my ear, my brain immediately heard Yan Can Cook. If Yan can cook, so found this one online on YouTube. KQED, the original PBS channel he was working for, put a bunch of these episodes up on YouTube like a year or two ago, specifically targeting everybody in lockdown on COVID. Like, need help cooking? Here's some ideas for you.
And
Uh,
it makes sense to do that, and
mhm,
especially given the teaching nature of what Martin Yan did, because
right.
sort of like Alton Brown really kind of took that to a new level with production and
Mhm,
sort of his idea of marrying, Julia Child and Mr. Wizard and Monty Python
right.
together into his show. But that was, the bedrock for that was started with people like Martin Yan, like
Mhm.
Justin Wilson, the Frugal Gourmet, those people where it was very instructional and very learning. And like, so it makes perfect sense that KQED, having all of that stuff, would want to put it out there and make it available. And Martin Yan probably wanted that as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's got a bunch of stuff on his own personal YouTube channel that's just from the PBS stuff too. KQED put not just Martin Yan, like just about every cooking thing they have is up there. So there's a ton to dig through if anybody needs another place to look for a cooking show for whatever reason. There's plenty of stuff up there. Um, but this one, this was the first one I found, and I kept coming back to it because I liked this particular episode. So it's on YouTube simply as recreate Chinese restaurant favorites at home. Doesn't tell you specifically a season or episode. And I think, for a cooking show like this, that doesn't really matter. I mean, you'll
Yeah.
notice the slight differences in the way he looks depending on how younger or older he looks. Um, but I fell on this one just because I was like, yeah, I want to learn some of this stuff. And it was funny taking notes on this. I was like, how do you take notes on a cooking show?
Yes.
But then again, like Travis was saying, the way that Martin Yan entertains you while he's telling you about what he's doing, um, like telling you about Mongolian beef being Genghis Khan Mongolian beef. And let me cut up these peppers because Genghis Khan likes things wild and spicy. And
Well, and one of the cool things he did was I love that he would tape everything in front of a live audience. So it was a
right.
small audience of people, but that because he has such an energy about him, and he's always, even though he's not directly interacting with individuals in that audience, having that audience there gives him something to play off of. And so that
Absolutely.
brings a different energy to it than, say Julia Child, who's wildly entertaining, but is in a kitchen by herself with a small crew. And
Hmm.
this way, like, he gets people that you can hear people laughing when he makes a silly joke. You can
Hmm.
kind of play with that a little bit. And I loved all that.
Yep. Like when he's telling you to stir fry, don't stir fry, stir fry.
Yeah.
You stir fry, it will burn.
So
Great,
good.
great amount of dad jokes.
Yes, for sure. It's funny. I watched one of the other episodes, and at the end of the episodes, he had just recently had twins, and he had them up there and was trying to feed them some little food and stuff. I was like, good. Dad jokes, yeah, understand
Yeah.
where those are coming from.
He is one of us.
Yep.
There was there's a great episode. I don't remember the title of it, but it had to do all about noodles.
Mhm.
And at one point, he brings out a guy who works in a Chinese restaurant making noodles by hand, like daily for the last 20 years. And he's giving a demonstration of making the noodles and slamming the dough down on the countertop and rolling it out by hand. And then he brings somebody up from the audience and has them try it out too. So they got a big wad of dough and they're kneading it by hand. And Martin's sitting here throwing down flour, and he's like, "You need more flour." And he's kneading it a little bit more, and guy's struggling just a little bit. He's like, "More flour," and he just keeps throwing flour on the board. Then he starts taking the flour and he's like putting it in the guy's pockets. Like, "You need more flour. It's always more flour." And over here, this guy's just whipping dough around and making noodles left and right, and there's just flour flying every. It's like almost like something you would see the Swedish chef involved in.
Yeah, that
And it's
that whole scene you just pointed out is something that I value in PBS in general. And if Yan didn't do anything like that in this episode, in particularly bringing out a professional something maker, but like that's one thing Mr. Rogers did on PBS. He'd bring in like Yo-Yo Ma to play cello
Mhm.
because this is the kind of thing that was free. This public broadcasting system, it's free for
yep.
people to watch. It's available, and children can sit down and watch this stuff and may see something that goes, "Holy cow, I want to try that. That looks really fun." And I think that's one of the things that I learned from somewhere. I can't remember if it was a Mr. Rogers show. Maybe it was a quote from him. But in order to get somebody excited to learn something, don't teach them immediately. Show them someone loving the thing
Yeah.
first.
Yep.
Mhm.
Like you don't get kids excited for cello by saying, "Okay, let's sit down and this is an A and this is a B." You show someone incredibly excited playing
Yep.
the cello.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I love about these cooking shows is you're watching people be very excited to make food. And I ain't gonna lie, I don't really love to cook that much, but I really wanted to cook what Martin Yan was cooking. I wanted to
Mhm.
be a part of that experience because he looked like he was having fun and it looked delicious, and I knew I could benefit from having that kind of skill. And it
Mhm.
comes across so well in this show. It's very well done.
And let me tell
Mhm.
you, after watching several videos of this show, watching several of his other things, more recent stuff online here and there, this man is always excited. Like he's one of those people that just oozes excitement no matter what he's doing. I saw one thing where he was teaching at some college or something as a guest and talking about knife skills and stuff, which we'll talk about because good lord.
Yeah.
Um but he was gosh, he was just exuberant about everything. And he
Mhm.
had a great little thing where he was talking about uh how we need to work on our diet. And he was like saying, after all these shows, I'm still the same weight because of my diet. And it's just like, oh, come on, yeah, come on.
Well,
But
it's
it's
because
just,
he's burning all those calories, chopping everything up.
Yeah.
yep. But and again, like it wasn't just a cooking show. Like he does the Mongolian beef. He does the General Tso's chicken. She keeps calling Chow, which was
Mhm.
really interesting
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
hear him pronounce it that way. And I'm like, wow, we've totally been butchering that on this side of the world, haven't we?
Oh
So,
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
General
um,
Tso's. That's how I've always said it. Now I'm questioning everything.
right. And then after that, he takes us on a little journey to teach us about Peking duck.
This was great. I did not expect it. And I was like, holy cow, we're going somewhere. All right, let's
Hmm.
go. I'm on the bus.
Yep.
And even still, in his narration through it, you see the guy uh, chopping up the duck and handing it to them with white gloves on. I'm like, really? And even Martin Yan's like, the gloves are optional.
Love that. I did want to try duck
Just
after watching this, even though I've been
Yeah.
told by everyone I know that I trust their palate. They're like, duck is a greasy slash oily bird. And I'm like, is that good or bad? And they're like, I don't like it. But I don't know. Now it look like turkey meat
no,
to
if you
me.
have it if you have it done right, it's really good. It is a fattier bird,
Hmm.
but that's just if you don't prepare it correctly. And Peking duck is an even more different thing
Right, because the
Hmm.
than
head's
just
still
duck.
on it.
Yeah, it's also the way it's prepared. That skin is incredibly crispy,
Hmm.
and it's just a different preparation.
Yeah.
But I love too where he said, and I didn't catch what year this was from, but if you noticed, he said it was like 35 or $40 for a Peking duck,
Hmm.
but you get 3 meals out of it because you get the
Right.
you get the stir fry, you get the slices of it, and with those Mandarin pancakes, and then the soup.
Hmm.
Mandarin pancakes, by the way. Never heard of that. Want to eat it.
Yep.
One of the things, so what makes Yan Can Cook such a great platform is Audie talked about how he wants to like really focus on and showcase China and his heritage and all that kind of stuff where he's from. And so he's so excited to teach people about that and teach people that style of cuisine and making it accessible. He never, if you notice, he's always talking about just stuff you have around and the simple ingredients you have. And one thing he doesn't do is take a lot of time with the prep work, but stir fries especially are such a prep heavy thing. All the work, all the time it takes to do a stir fry is in the prep.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So it might take you a half an hour to make dinner, but 25 minutes of that is prep work and it's 5 minutes on the heat.
Yeah.
And so because once that roller coaster starts and you put stuff in that wok, you don't stop until you're done. So you don't have
Hmm.
time to like, shoot, I got to prep this, and nope, it better be ready to go because you're going to burn everything. But I just love that because it is the type of thing that I think formats really well, especially for that era of television. because you can have everything ready to go and just show it
Yeah.
and show it very quickly and not have to be like,
Mhm.
all right, now, we wait 3 hours for this to be done, or you pull the swap out. You don't have to do that swap out
Right.
that a
Hmm.
lot of cooking shows need.
Yeah. This is
And you could see that he had a lot of that prepped. He would show you some of the prep,
right.
Mhm.
but a lot of it was already done for you. You're like, oh, okay, he got that done already.
Yeah, and I mean that's the cooking show 101, man. You've got all your stuff in little bowls, and I've taken that before and been like, you know what I'm gonna do this time I cook? I'm gonna go ahead and portion out the salt and portion out the flour or whatever I know I need, and then I'm gonna start cooking. And it's funny you bring up the prep time because this is a disagreement Stephanie and I have all the time when it comes to cooking. I
Oh,
say
nice.
her chili she makes is difficult to make. She insists it is very easy. But she has to do an enormous amount of chopping. She chops
Mhm.
for like 20 minutes, maybe more. And
Sure.
I view that is a difficult job. You've got to I just don't it's hard to chop for that long. And she's like, "No, this is easy. It just takes me time." And I thought that's a distinction we have when it comes to me deciding on a recipe. I'm like, I have to chop for 10 minutes. No, just not. Are there pre-chopped of these things that I'm doing?
See, you need a sous chef. You need to get
Yeah,
Sam old enough to be able to use a knife,
yeah,
and then he can be your sous chef, and he can just do all the prep work for you. You can be
that's
like,
right.
"All right, buddy, get this, and this chopped for me. Put them in the bowls. Be ready, and then I'll come in and we'll make it."
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, that's a great
There you go.
idea. I'll give him a knife and I'll be down in 10 minutes. Get to work. He could do it.
Well, not right now.
I mean, he's 7. He could get there. He could get there. I watched Master
He's
Chef
getting close.
Junior. Those kids are capable.
Honestly, at 7, he's not that far off. You're right.
No, I
Yeah.
was whittling wood at 7. Cutting my fingers open and stuff, but still.
Just make sure he's got a good sharp knife, and you're fine.
Yeah, real sharp. Make sure those fingers come off clean.
Mhm. Okay, but I got to go back to a couple of the jokes Yan talked when he was doing the General Tso's chicken because that was hilarious. Like he
Hmm.
was talking about how do Chinese chefs get all this stuff done at the same time? They have 2 woks, so we're gonna walk side by side. I was like, oh my gosh,
I love this
well
whole
done,
segment. Yeah.
well done. And then he's cooking everything. He's like, you go here and back here, and then back here, and then back here, and then back here. I was like, dude, slow down, please. And then when he added the wine to both dishes to get it to flame up, and he was like, "No wonder my eyebrows have little left." I was like,
Yeah.
"Dad
Yeah,
jokes
don't lean
galore."
forward.
Yeah.
Don't lean forward when you're putting that in there.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. That lit
It
up
was funny to
quick.
see Peanuts, so center stage.
Yeah.
Um, one talking about him from Texas as a Georgia boy, where we've got
Number
big old
one.
peanut
Mm,
thing. I was like,
Number one.
Texas number 2, huh? Who's number 1 there,
Yeah.
Mister Yan?
I
Huh?
was waiting, Audie. I was right there with you as a fellow Georgian. I was like, Georgia makes a quarter of the world's peanuts. Like, we're no
Mhm.
joke. Yeah. But no.
But it was just funny in the day and age where we kind of shy away from peanuts a lot in cooking these days,
Mhm.
and just in general because of food allergies and stuff. I understand. It was just funny to see it front and center and not even a second thought about it.
And it wasn't a Thai dish. I know Thai dishes generally use a lot more peanuts. I was kind of shocked to see it in this dish. Not that I'm a culinary expert, but I've always only ever really heard of peanuts in Thai food.
you couldn't find them in Chinese food too.
Yeah.
Hmm. And then after that, towards the end, he started showing us how to make wontons. I was like, "Oof,
Oh,
dude."
I am getting some wontons my next shopping trip and keeping those around. They're great to have around anyway, but I
Oh
always
yeah.
forget to get them. But I'm watching that like I want just a mountain of dumplings.
It looks so good.
Hmm.
Seafood wontons is what he was throwing together.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was a cool idea. But
Mhm.
any wontons, I don't care what they are. I just want I want a dumpling filled with some ground meat mixture inside a
Mhm.
wonton wrapper, boiled or fried. I don't care.
There's this
Yeah.
food truck in the area called Mr. Dumpling. This is the free promo, Mr. Dumpling. But they have a cheeseburger dumpling that's like it's just a cheeseburger in a wonton form, and it's amazing. Like if I had
That's
those all the
awesome.
time, I would just eat those every day. They're great.
Yeah, but I gotta say, me and my wife Julie are big fans of the crab wontons anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
We like to get those. It's funny, we used to get wontons and what did we do? We did like a little taco thing in them. Like we would put them in a uh what you call it? What am I trying to think of? Pan where you make a muffin pan.
Oh
Muffin
yeah,
pan.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Put
Okay.
put the wontons in there, put your taco stuff in there and just kind of bake it.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that'd be a
I
good way to
like
do it.
it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
Yeah.
and again, he's telling us all this with his sense of humor. Like here's how you fold wontons, all these different ways, doing it slow motion, like I'm practicing my tai chi. Here's one with just a little bit if you're diet conscious. Here's one if you haven't had a meal in forever and you need to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Teaching you which way to fold it or when there's just pleats. The most interesting thing that I was surprised that I if I've seen it, I didn't think about it, but using giant chopsticks as cooking utensils.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That was new to me.
I'd never seen that
I
before.
love that. And
It ma-
I've seen it, but I've never had a pair to use. But it makes perfect sense.
Mhm.
It's a great utensil,
I've
and I
I've
want to get me now.
I was gonna say I've got some decent chopstick skills enough that makes me want to try that for sure.
I mean, that set he has is like 2.5 feet long. Like those things are
Right.
huge.
Hmm. But still, every single time when he's chopping something with a knife and showing off those knife skills, good lord, and that's something he is known for.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Now there again, there's that he has a it's a very sharp knife, which is important.
mhm,
You have to have that. Yeah, that knife needs to be very sharp, and it's a Chinese cleaver, which is a style of knife that I don't have, but I really want,
mhm,
because it's a very versatile knife to use in a kitchen. But you can do that kind of knife work with that because it's a big, heavy knife. And if you notice, he's very smart in that he uses the proper grip where his knuckles are
Mm-hmm.
forward, and
mhm.
he basically just keeps that knife right against his knuckles. And with that, you're not going to cut yourself
Yeah.
Right.
because he never he preps everything the right way. But I just love watching him take a piece of bell pepper and turn it into julienne strips, and he's not even watching, he's not even
No.
looking, he's like looking
Yeah.
off somewhere else, and he's doing little rhythms with it. And I grew up wanting a Chinese cleaver so bad because of watching Yan Ken cook,
Mhm.
and I still have never gotten one, but one day I will.
Like I made Mongolian beef tonight and was thinking about that as I was cutting up the peppers, and I was like, "Yep, I ain't got those skills. I'm not that good with a knife." Mm-mm.
No, I cut with fear. I do not. I am very uncomfortable with a knife set, so I look like a toddler when I'm cutting stuff. It's painful. Like lift it all the way off the chopping block, make sure I have it in the right spot, then go down. Like Stephanie, she's like "Zoo, zoo, zoo." She does the whole like push the food with your thumb and keep your knuckles
Mhm.
bent method.
Yep.
It scares the crap out of me. I can't do that.
Mhm.
I'll
We'll
cut
teach
my
you.
finger right
Yeah.
off.
I'll teach you how.
Yep. Because that's the thing. Like I haven't been seriously cooking until we moved here, and we kind of switched who's cooking more, and I've done the majority of the cooking, and so I've gotten used to it. So it doesn't scare me as much. But I definitely remember, those early times cooking some recipes. Like I got to chop this. Okay, yeah, zhunk, 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 zhunk. And
Yeah.
today it was definitely more like zhunk, 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 zhunk. Well, these ain't as pretty as Martin Yans, but they'll do.
Well, you get used to it.
Yeah.
You know, you use a tool enough
Mm-hmm.
times, you start to get more comfortable, and it makes more sense to you. It just takes time and practice. Like
Mm-hmm.
this year, I think we couldn't have done this cooking theme at a better time for me because we've started eating in more.
Right.
And I've made stuff that has tasted good, so I've gotten a little bit more confident, a little bit more
Sweet.
excited, a little bit more creative. I made homemade potato chips the other day. I was like, I wonder what if I could
Ooh.
slice these
Nice.
potatoes thin and throw them in the air fryer if they turn into chips, and they were delicious. So it's like you do those kind of weird things. You just invent food you think you would like at home, and you just
Mm-hmm.
make it, and just your confidence level grows. And shows like this help add some variety to that. That you're just like, I haven't had
Mm-hmm.
anything different in a while. I'd like to try. So This is
Well,
Well,
great.
I
and the beauty of it is we were talking in the group chat earlier where you were saying, I need to buy a walk, and it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, do that, and but experiment, try out, whether it's chicken, beef, shrimp, whatever you
Mm-hmm.
like, but go through the process of doing the prep, get all the, the French term for it is mise en place, which is
Mm-hmm.
just everything in its place. But get everything prepped, do a stir fry right there in a regular frying pan, because what's great about it is it becomes the type of thing where when you need a weeknight meal, you can throw together a stir fry super quick
Yeah.
with whatever veggies happen to be around, or if it's a quick trip to the store, you can just be like, what looks good? Grab a couple veggies, a protein, and make a little sauce. Boom, you've got stir fry.
Yeah.
And from there, endless possibilities. And that's one
mhm,
of the things that I like about watching Martin Yan is that he basically tells you, he's like, yeah, I've got this, 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 and this, but you can use pretty much anything you want. Here's a few things that I like,
right.
Mm-hmm.
and it's just getting it hot enough and letting it cook, and it cooks very quickly, and it's the type of thing that can build that confidence for you. So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
the perfect type of cooking. And I do think that Martin Yan really helped to bring, like, Chinese takeout was always popular,
Sure.
but I think he helped for a lot of people, myself included, to really look at the different dishes that there are that you can get in a Chinese restaurant or that you could try making at home, and really learn more about them and try different things. Even something as simple as like his goofy thing where he shows you how to mince garlic and ginger.
Yeah.
Just
Bam.
slam the knife down on it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And that's all it takes. And then, just doing that adds a different layer of flavor.
Right.
And so it's cool stuff like that, and expanding people to a different cuisine that's outside of what, most Americans grew up with, especially at our age and a little bit older when he was really pumping out stuff on KQED.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mhm.
mean, 1978 he got started with a cooking
Wow.
show.
Right.
That's just amazing that he's been doing it for what, 40 plus years
Yeah.
of
Mhm.
cooking demonstrations and cooking shows.
Yeah.
He just makes it all so approachable. Like it just the
Yeah.
food is it's so approachable. I think of it like Bob Ross makes painting approachable. Like you watch him and there's an
Mhm.
immense amount of talent there, and you can recognize that, but it's not too scary to try. You're like he's telling me exactly what to do. All I need, all it's about is learning feel. Like it's a
Mhm.
lot of feel. Like I can watch you produce anything from food to paint, and I can do it and get relatively close, minus some of the nuances and some of the things I just don't know how to look for. But I
Right.
Right.
love these kind of shows. It does such wonders for that.
And that's the thing, right? The approachability, because these are people with immense skill in what
Yeah.
they're doing,
Mhm.
but they make it approachable and to the point where you can learn what they do. You can learn to paint like Bob Ross did.
Mm-hmm.
If you practice it enough and you follow the techniques that he shows you, you can learn to cook the way that Martin Yan does if you follow and pay attention to what he's doing and how he does it, and just it's repetition at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter, you don't have to be born into it, you don't have to go to a cooking school to be a chef. You can learn these things, but they take that and they make it so that just anybody can start with it. You got
Yeah.
to have that, it's removing the gatekeeping and let people in to
Mm-hmm.
check it out. And that's
Mhm.
what, people like Martin Yan, Alton Brown, Julia Child, that's what they wanted to do, because cooking especially is such an important skill for people.
Yeah.
You got to eat. Like, it's one of the few things you absolutely have to do is eat. And if you're going to have to eat, why not eat well?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even if it's not every meal, you don't have to cook every meal at home. But like for you, Stephen, who's, you haven't done a lot of cooking, to start getting some of that confidence in cooking, even if you do it once or twice a week, is still, that's a big thing, and it gets
Yeah.
you more confident in doing it. And how did your Mongolian beef turn out, by the way?
It was
Was it good?
delicious. It was glorious. Um, yeah, and I will say, like, for me, especially being a visual person, I do a lot better when I can see somebody making the dish, not just have, the written recipe there, but see how they do it.
Yeah.
Like, I will go to YouTube for a recipe before I'll go to Pinterest or somewhere else.
Sure.
Um, and I think that's what I'm learning to love about watching these older cooking shows and realizing what I've missed in not following them when I was younger and could have used, more of that education, but I appreciate now. Um, and appreciating the YouTubers that I do watch now that do stuff every day now. Um, and seeing how they are are like this, and I realize that people like Martin Yan paved the way for all of these other people to have this kind of fun cooking show
Mm-hmm.
in
Oh,
one way
sure.
or another. And you look back, it's like, okay, this is how they can do it now because Martin Yan did it then. And it's funny to see this and think of his show as a pioneering show. Because we'll talk about it with some of the other ones coming up. Like cooking shows haven't been around forever. Like,
Right.
and the good ones are few and far between that have
Mhm.
survived. So it's it was just really fun to watch this and see him do all the
It was
cutting, all the prep work, telling the dumb jokes. We've heard from Genghis Khan and General So. Now we hear from General Custard.
That was good. That was good. I don't know what that would taste
it,
like, but I want to try
Yeah.
it.
yeah, I did not know. I did notice watching it, like, okay, this feels like 80s, 90s television
Oh yeah.
with
Hmm.
some of the cutaways, with some of like when they would show the final dish and
Hmm.
just the way they would do it. It had that feel of an older thing. And because I do still watch a lot of cooking demonstrations and a lot of YouTube channels. So it's seeing the evolution of presentation
Oh yeah.
over time. But again, with Martin kind of paving, being one of those that paved the way for it and brought us what it is and showed, hey, it doesn't just have to be a segment on Good Morning America or the local, talk show morning news thing to do the small bit. You can dedicate a half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was a ton of fun. There, I did also a couple of times have a feel like I was almost like I was watching an infomercial with
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
that he would interact. It had that very like Ron Popeil type feel to the
Hmm.
interaction, except that he's not hawking any product. He's just like cooking.
Right.
Here's the cooking thing. Check it out because it's super fun.
If
And
you
again,
Oh, sorry.
go
No,
ahead,
you.
Steve.
I was just gonna say if you threw a headset on him, he could have been in the middle of a shopping mall.
Yeah,
Like it. That's the
Uh-huh.
way it felt to me.
And I
and
think
he's
that
I'm
comes
pretty sure
from
he's done that.
I'm sure.
and I think that comes from again talking about the pioneering way of teaching you and showing you stuff on TV. Like the reason they did it to hawk stuff is because it works so well with somebody like Martin Yan teaching you something.
Yeah.
So I think there's something to be said about him paving the way for everybody, even the people who are shelling stuff at us.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. For sure. Yeah, and if
But
his presentation isn't as good as it is, number one, he doesn't last 40 plus years making shows, but he also doesn't influence that next generation of people that want to learn the cooking. And the fact that he has a food science background
mhm,
Yeah.
is also really cool because he doesn't just want to learn how to cook. He also like it's the how and the why of the
yeah,
cooking and what works and what doesn't, and then he can kind of teach that as well. So it's a lot of cool stuff there. He's
mhm.
a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
And then it all comes back to like at the end, he's like, put these on the menu of the finest restaurant in town, your house. It all comes back to teaching you how to do it. Because as the tagline says at the end, if Yan can cook, so can you. And I think that's a legacy he's never gonna live down. Like that's his legacy that everybody
Yeah.
comes back to.
Yep.
If Yan can cook, so can you. And I think that is an amazing legacy to have, to be someone who not only enjoys food but enjoys teaching about food.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. To demystify Chinese food for
Hmm.
American people, and it doesn't just have to be the thing you go to the restaurant and come home with the little paper uh, containers of. You can do that at home
Yeah.
and with a minimum of equipment. Like
Hmm.
you can go right now into your kitchen with the equipment that you have and make any dish that he did, and it's going to be very close to what he made.
I got carrots, snap peas, and rice right now available to me.
Boom, there you
And
go.
some peppers. I throw a meat in there, and I'm good to go. Stir fry,
Yep.
done.
Yep. There you go. Okay, so that was Yan Can Cook. Did we get any emails or anything on this one?
Not that I
I don't recall.
saw.
Okay,
I will double check the inbox. Uh,
okay. And again, we love hearing from you guys. So definitely hit us up either on Twitter at Those Days Show or hit us up in the email, those were the days show at gmail.com. Let us know what you thought of Yan Can Cook. Let us know what you think of any of these episodes. How has cooking been for you? Was there any cooking show that you loved, that you got into, that made you want to cook? We want
yeah,
to hear from
I want those stories.
Mhm.
That'd be great. Y'all
you.
send us something because that I would love to hear what just your cooking relationship would be fun, even if it's not
Sure.
associated with a show. That sounds great.
Yep.
Either way, and what I love about some of the shows is that they can give you a healthier relationship with your food too.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
mean, when it comes down to it, one of the great things about learning to cook Chinese food from Martin Yan or whomever is knowing what's going into what you're eating
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
instead of it just being a mystery box of, hey, what are you can find out what those little peppers are in your General Tso's chicken, the little dried peppers that burn your face off.
Hmm. Right.
I want some General So's now. Thank you for
You're welcome.
that.
It's I gotta share this. After even with all this Chinese food, for some reason I got in my head that I wanted a French dip. So I've been watching all kinds of videos on how to make a French dip. And like, yeah, that's great. I just want to go get one. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be lunch at some point this week. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Oh, French dip's
But
my jam.
hmm
I have a friend who goes around our town and tries the French dip at every restaurant and then rates them.
That's
nice.
amazing.
It's a whole
That's the way
thing.
to do it.
It matters. You gotta know because some places they don't give you enough au jus. They give you a little cup,
Yeah.
and sometimes the cup
Hmm.
isn't even big enough to fit the sandwich in. It's like a little ketchup
Yeah.
to go cup. And you're like, what
What's
even
that about?
is this? I can't dip
Mhm.
this.
Hmm.
I like the places that
No,
give
thank
you
you.
like a little almost bowl sized cup
Right.
that's deep.
Yeah.
That's how you
Yep.
do a French dip. Don't do
Hmm.
that,
That's
then
right.
I'm sorry. This isn't a dip.
All right. So next week, Steven,
Yeah,
what
man.
are you bringing us?
I'm gonna bring you something good, I guarantee. We're gonna be doing Justin Wilson's Easy Cooking. We're gonna be doing
Mhm.
episode 1, Chili Rice Chicken a la Creole. So we're going down. If you're not familiar with Justin Wilson, he wears red suspenders, and he's from the great state of Louisiana. And we're gonna be learning about some Creole cooking. I'm excited.
Nice.
Full
Oh, I can't wait.
disclosure, I've never watched this show before. Never. My brother-in-law,
Mm.
Jacob, he's talked to me endlessly about how much he loves Wilson's laid-back Louisiana cooking style. And I watched
That
a
sounds
little
about
bit of
right.
I watched one episode to kind of get a feel for it. And I wouldn't expect any real harsh adherence to any sort of recipe amounts of anything. It's very, I'll put little splash of this in there. Like that's kind of how he rolls. And I'm all for it. So I'm literally looking forward to watching Easy Cooking. It's available on YouTube if you're looking for it anywhere. I think there's like 8 or 9 episodes of this. This is in his latter part of his career, is Easy
Okay.
Cooking. So it's like in the late 90s, I think, but it still feels like somewhere in the mid 80s. So yeah, that could be fine.
Nice.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Justin
Excellent.
Wilson's Easy Cooking, episode 1. If you're not sure if it's episode 1, the actual episode title is Chili Rice Chicken a la Creole.
Nice.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, come back next week. Join us live at twitch.tv/2dorks TV. Monday nights, we record at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For the rest of you that listen, you'll get it in your podcatcher at some point later in the week. Uh, just depends on what Steven's schedule and when it gets out.
I'm gonna do it tomorrow as long as the
All
audio's
right.
there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. All right.
Y'all get it at some point.
Yep, I'll be
Um,
there.
so for Amy, who's on special assignment, Steven, Travis, I'm Audie, wishing you all a wonderful rest of the week. And remember, if Yan can cook, so can you. We'll see you next week.